Cool. Alright, I've got to go now, bro.
Sick. Okay. And you can hear me all right, see me all right, we're all good.
Yeah, all good, man. All good, all
Okay.
good.
So we obviously spoke a bit already before we press record.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a bit about you. We're going to talk a bit about Steppers Club, and we're obviously going to talk
Yeah,
about
man.
your new EP. But
Yeah.
I like to sort of get to know the artist before sort of going on. So we'll go back before we go forward. Obviously,
Okay. Yeah.
you're at uni, you're doing business. I just assumed you'd be doing music, maybe because I am.
Yeah.
Why business?
Well, that's a good question, man. I think I was doing a theology degree for my undergraduate, and I was kind of doing it just to get a degree. But then coming off the back of that, obviously, I still desperately want to pursue music. And I think especially with Steppers Club now and how it's obviously started off as a project that's been a bit of fun with mates, but thinking about trying to take it further long term and trying to think long term plan in terms of what I want to do for a master's, which is what I'm doing now, where I'm studying business. I was trying to think of something that I could do with practical skills that I'd then be able to apply to sort of what we're doing with the label.
Sure, and I guess business
yeah.
is really going to help with that sort of like running side of
Exactly.
the label.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, the hope is that it's going to sort of teach me more skills that I can then apply to that, and hopefully as the label grows and I sort of learn more about that sort of running business essentially. Then
Yeah. So both the undergraduate and the masters are nothing to do with music. So how did you get into music?
Mate, that's long. So I was raised as a classical guitarist. Like I was playing guitar when from like the age of 5-6 years old, and I kind of quite early worked on that. I really liked creating like my own songs and coming up with my own chord progressions and just sort of messing about with it and coming up with my own ideas. I think I was quite intent on being creative from quite a young age. And then that sort of when I realised I couldn't sing, so I wasn't going to be in a band, then I sort of started messing about on a laptop, and I think I sort of had the same route into it that a lot of people had, which is I pirated Fruity Loops when I was like 13 or something, and then I didn't make anything good for about 5 years of messing about, and I guess some people would argue I've still made nothing good, but
yeah, well, I'm joking.
No. And then like I think I was making like sort of hip hop and rap beats for quite a while. It was the sort of music that I was listening to at that point, and I was really sort of interested in like sampling and sort of taking inspiration from like other bits of music and then trying to put my own spin on it and come up with something new. And then it's kind of carried on sort of. The genre of music I've been making, the quality of music I've been making has sort of carried on, changing and developing over time.
Yeah, because I've been just before we jumped on the call, I was sort of scrolling through Spotify's and SoundClouds and listening to all the old bits, and the release has only really started sort of 2019 time. So obviously you've had this 5 years or so of producing. Is that just all sort of you've been like honing the craft and getting to know it before releasing, or did you have stuff before that sort of now you've privatized or deleted or anything, or is it just natural?
I've released music in other genres under other aliases, and I only started making sort of more dance music when I came to university, so it's only really been the last 3 years that I started making it.
Did you sort of get into the scene through uni? And people?
Yeah, and I think it's the same for quite a lot of people in terms of you go to uni and then you start going to raves and stuff, and then obviously like live performance was always quite something that I really enjoyed doing, but I wanted to sort of be able to DJ music that I obviously made myself, and I sort of came in through mixing bassline quite a lot. That was how I got into it, and then. Yeah, man, I was experimenting from when I got to uni and like drum and bass, bassline, garage, like pretty much everything. And then I had like a year before Lavender came out, which was the first track that I released, where I was posting like little clips of like works in progresses and stuff onto Legoland. And I hadn't really had too much, like it hadn't really got anywhere. Like it was I was sort of doing it as a hobby, like seeing what stuck. And then and then that song just happened to, like, I put a clip up of it, and I went to bed that night, and then the next night I woke up and it had quite a big response, and then Bass Hive wanted to sign it that day, and then everything sort of kick-started from that point, and I was like, right, okay, let's start doing releases now.
So it's quick as that you posted a clip and instantly Bass Hive sort of
I got
you, or you sent it to them?
I got so lucky, man. Yeah, like Nico, the guy that runs it, he's been really good to me. Set up a lot of stuff for me. Obviously, got me to play one of their events in February as well. And he just sent me a message that day asking what I was doing with it, and I didn't know how anything worked at that point. So I was like, I don't know what I want to do with it, and he was like, well, we potentially like to take it. And I didn't really understand like the significance of that at that point, because I liked the music, but I wasn't that heavily in the scene in that way. I didn't really know how things worked. So I was like, oh, cool, that sounds nice. And then obviously the track came out, and all of a sudden, like, things sort of started snowballing a little bit. And then, it's basically been a year of progression from that point up to where we are now. So yeah, man.
That was like a garage number, and then you've sort of had a couple like little bassliney and grime bits that you've put out as well. Are you still sort of refining your sound, or have you decided that garage is like the direction that you want to take it?
Yeah, I mean, I like so I keep getting flipping notifications from Facebook coming up in my ear. Let me just turn this off. There you go, it's gone. Yeah, man. So I think I've had so many different like sort of different routes of inspiration in terms of how I've kind of started producing. And as I said, like, I started mixing bassline. That was sort of where I came from. But it's sort of more like the old school TS7, old school Flavor D, like almost when it was between speed garage and bassline. That was the sort of music that I really liked. And so naturally, like, when I make my bassier stuff, it sort of goes further towards that. But I think particularly for the first year of doing this, like, I sort of was just trying out different things and sort of seeing what stuck and what did well and what didn't, and then also, if I'd release something and then see how I felt about it like a few months later. And I think I've now more settled on this sound of sort of garage that I'm going to be putting out over the next 6 months. Like, I've got quite a few releases lined up now, and that's where I'm at the moment. I mean, I don't know what it's going to be in the future. I'm only ever going to make what I'd sort of like the sound of at that point. So I mean, it could carry on being this. It might change again. I don't know. Nice. But I feel for the next 6 months or so, there's like a consistent sort of style of garage that I'm going to be doing that I'm quite excited about. So
there's sort of like one topic I want to look at, because it kind of links to something you've done, and I'm kind of jumping all over the timeline now, but we'll get into the Steppers Club stuff.
But
cool, your Circle of Life, I don't really want to call it a bootleg because it's so close to being an original track, but that track, how did it come from just coming out of you making it wherever in the studio in your bedroom, and then it being DJ Z's track of the week? Like, what was that sort of time like for you? Because that's crazy.
It was a bit of a weird one. Like, so I think around that time, I was quite hopeful that raves were going to come back and sort of come back properly. And like, one thing I like, sort of a lot of the big DJs that I like, they have like a signature track that they sort of start their sets with. And I'd sort of been feeling for a while that I wanted to do something where it was probably going to be an edit that I would then open my sets with. And I don't know why, but I'd been thinking about it for like 3 months, and then for some reason I was like, you know what, I might just try and do the Lion King theme tune. I don't know what I did. Honestly, I had the idea and I didn't know how I was going to do it until I put the audio file into FL and then started messing about with it. And then I made the track in like 2 days. It was quite a quick turnaround, that one. And then I put it out. Sort of, again, it was just one of those ones where I was like, just put it out and see how it does. I wasn't that bothered about whether the response was going to be sick or not. And then like hearing that on EZ's mix was a bit of a surreal one. I mean, that he'd supported me one of my tracks like a few weeks before that. So I kind of knew that I was starting to get in there with onto his mixes and sort of into into his what's the word, remit. Like, he was starting to become a bit more aware of what I was doing. But to get that reaction was like crazy, man. Like, having EZ play any of your tunes is just mad, full stop.
Of course. So, and I don't like calling it a bootleg because I don't think it is a bootleg. But we spoke last week to Jay Faded, who said that as he was sort of coming up and emerging into the scene, he did a lot of bootlegs and a lot of unofficial remixes, and that would really sort of get a good reaction, sometimes better than his originals. What's sort of like your opinion of like up and coming producers using these bootlegs as a promo tool, if you like?
Yeah, it's I mean, I've done quite a similar thing to that. Like I can see a lot of what I've done over the last year in what he said about that. Like naturally, sort of remixes of well-known tracks, or remixes of things that are maybe a bit more quirky, that are like not necessarily within the genre or whatever. It's I mean, like Hype Edit, I use it quite a lot of people use it as a way of putting a free download gate on it and then getting some more followers. And obviously then if you find a couple of new followers from that, and then they come onto your profile and then discover your original stuff, then that's quite a good way of sort of using that as a way of people discovering your original music. I mean, I'm probably going to be moving away from it a little bit. I mean, tomorrow, so by the time this has gone out, probably a bit before, but tomorrow I've got one out on B-Swang, which is probably the last edit I'm going to do for like a while, just because I do really want to start pushing my own sound that it's just completely original music.
Sure.
But yeah, as a way of getting into the scene for upcoming producers, it's such a no-brainer, man.
Yeah.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah, and there are some good ones out there as well, so I think they're a good promo tool as well.
100%.
But I'm always looking for an original rather than a bootleg, so I like what you're saying about sort of you use it at the start of your journey, your career, if you like, and then you move away from it and come with your own sound.
Exactly. Yeah.
And like, so obviously you're really coming into your own with your own sound, and Steppers Club is a big part of that.
100%, man.
We did an interview early on with Sensor before your first Steps EP.
Yeah, man.
But just for those who aren't really aware, what is Steppers Club? Where's it come from?
How long have I got? Man, Steppers Club. So
it came about this year. That's when the EP dropped. That's when we saw the promo. But has it been an idea or something you've wanted to do for long before that?
Yeah, man, very long before that. So we first spoke about. So it was me, Sam Dealey, and Sensor, and we were sort of like knew each other like quite distantly in the scene. Like had released on a couple of like similar labels, sort of got chatting through that sort of stuff. We basically just had a conversation. It was like early last December. So it took quite a while for it to actually come to fruition. But yeah, we there was a few motives behind it. I think one was that we wanted our own platform, that because I think the scene right now is so well set up for up and coming producers to break into it, and there's a lot of opportunity for new producers that are coming through. But I think for the scene to keep going and keep growing, and garage to sort of keep making this resurgence, having some more labels and some more entities and more producers coming through, it's only going to expand things and push it further. And we essentially felt that A, having our own platform that we would have like control of the creative direction of, and B, also like furthering the scene, furthering the genre, sort of almost trying to give back in a way, because obviously like people in the scene have obviously done a lot for me, the same with Sensor and Sam as well. So yeah, there was a motive to sort of have our own platform, be able to control sort of the way in which we release it, put a bit of effort as well into the content that we sort of put with it and stuff. And then we had conversations with quite a few different people in garage, sort of producers our sort of size, a bit bigger, a bit small. We spoke to like quite a big range of people about it, and we were quite intent on getting a group together where everybody that was in it was sort of going to be part of the running of it, and everyone was going to be doing it together, and it was going to be much more of a group project rather than there's one person running the label and then everyone else just releases on it.
Because you have this like roster, this set roster if you like, which is who you introduced through the first Steps EP. Do you want to just sort of talk us through everyone's role in that?
It's I mean I handle a lot of the admin because I was actually I did event promotion at university quite a lot, so I've had quite a bit of experience in sort of setting up these like mini sort of music businesses and dealing with that sort of stuff. So So I did a fair bit of the admin sort of stuff on First Steps, but then since then, it's kind of everything's sort of got distributed quite equally now. Everybody's I mean, in terms of like the creative direction of the label, it's completely a group effort. There's obviously the 5 of us, but there's another lad called Tommy, who DJs under the alias Dracula, and he does all of the artwork and stuff. But he's like as heavily involved with everyone else. I mean, he really keeps things ticking, and like in terms of when we're trying to come up with promo ideas and make the artwork look sick, he's absolutely vital to what we're doing. But he's obviously quite behind the scenes in terms of how he's involved with it. But yeah, man, like, but basically every decision that gets made is a group decision. Like every step that we want to take with the label goes in the group chat, and we all chat it through and sort of work out whether it's best for us, best for the direction that we're trying to go in.
So in the short time you've been sort of working on it together, has there been any sort of disagreements in directions or creative ideas?
Oh yeah, of course, man, of course, yeah. But I mean, that's only because like we all want the best for it. So sometimes, you know, there'll be a bit of a split down the middle about, you know, do we do this, but for the most part, like, everybody's in the same boat. I mean, as I said, I kid you not, it was literally months, me, Sam and Ned Sensor even, speaking to different people in the scene, trying to work out, and obviously with Minister and Opadan, we ended up going with them because A, we just think they're sick producers, and B, they were like sounding like they really wanted to be involved with it as well, and sort of were really keen to actually be a part of it and contribute to it, because again, this is really long term sort of the plan that we got for this in mind. So the last thing we wanted to do was, you know, perhaps bring on somebody that's a sick producer, but if they weren't as invested in it as perhaps we were, then it sort of wouldn't have the legs to sort of keep running, you know, 5, 6, 7 releases down the line. So yeah, man, it's a really good group. Like, we're so happy with how it's gone so far, and we got massive plans for the next year or so.
Yeah, you've got like a very unique and like distinctive promo and visuals and everything, which you can tell you've like put a lot of effort into, which is probably like why it's been so appealing to so many people. When I kind of look at the garage scene and labels and things, the top 2 I see are obviously the Kiwis and like the garage shared people. If with your like long-term plan, sort of how long would you see before you're kind of competing with those sort of sized organisations?
I mean, I think in terms of like the quality of the music that we're putting out, I think we're sort of already competing, if I'm being honest. Like, I think the quality of the music we're putting out, I mean, obviously, look, we're not their size yet. We know that, you know. I mean, I don't really look at music as a competition. I mean, I kind of think about it that we obviously want to be successful in our own right, but I'm not really too concerned about, you know, the numbers on the screen when you look at how many followers each label has got. But as the quality of the music goes, man, like, I think with what we did with First Steps, I was so happy with that project as well. And then obviously knowing the release that we've got coming up as well. I mean, the most important thing for me is consistency and just keeping this level now. Which I think we are going to be doing. Well, I mean, obviously it'll be for everyone else to decide, because everyone else is going to be listening to it. But yeah, look, I mean, in terms of maybe when we get to their level of notoriety, I mean, you know, the guys in those labels are obviously, you know, they've been around for 2 or 3 years and they've built it consistently, and we know this isn't going to happen overnight. But again, like the progression that we've had even in the last couple of months has been better than we would have expected, and hopefully, yeah, long may it continue. So.
Yeah, the brand's definitely appealing, and the followers like warrant that. Can you think, like I said about your branding and your visuals and things, but like what sort of things from the label side do you think kind of sets you apart and is a benefit for people like getting involved with you in the future?
I think with what we're doing, obviously, so by the time this goes, when is this going out?
It can go out as soon as next week. It might be the week after.
Okay, yeah, that's cool then. So, I mean, by the time this will have gone out, we will have announced season 1, which is essentially the next series of EP releases that is a solo EPs from everyone on the label. And I think what we're doing quite differently at the moment is we're sort of almost trying to tell a story when we release the music. Like, I've never really wanted to essentially just, you know, be a label that puts a release out and sort of act as a shop for DJs. Like, I want to sort of go further than that, sort of try and be more conceptual, sort of have layers to what we're doing. Like, think about how the content matches up with the music and that we're actually releasing, and obviously that comes down to the branding, that comes down to the content that we put out, the way that we release the music, how often we do it. So there really is thought that's going into absolutely every single little bit of detail that's going into what we're doing at the moment. And obviously with season 1, as you'll obviously see when it goes out on Friday, it's almost sort of being pictured like they're sort of like unlockable characters in like a video game and stuff. Like there's the whole website's being redesigned to look like that. These videos that we've got coming out, it's all sort of centered around it sort of being one concept, one theme, where we try and go to like a deeper level with what we're doing to again sort of try and make the content more engaging and hopefully get more people on board in the future.
So you've got this whole, as you said, season 1 sort of idea coming forward, and
man,
you're going to be the first EP to drop from that.
I am indeed.
Am I right in saying that's 23rd of October?
That is correct, yes.
So don't take this the wrong way, I'm thinking of how to best word it. Why have they chosen you to be the first person to to release?
I'm not so much I want to say, you know. Just trying to think what's the best. I mean, essentially, look, we came off the back of First Steps, and we'd had this idea that we wanted to do it as like a season, and we wanted to have a group of releases from each of us individually. Quite a large part of it was simply who had the tracks ready, and I'd been sitting on these 2 tracks that are going on it for quite a while, and I'd sort of known that I wanted them to go as a project together, and I've not really done a proper EP before. So it simply came about because of that. I had the tracks ready, and
so it's just a natural progression then.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we discuss everything, like we're very regularly sending in tunes to each other and discussing whether we think they're right for the label, how they could be better, etc. Like constantly bouncing around ideas. We came off the back of the EP and we said, right, let's start bouncing around ideas, and I sent the tunes to everyone and we were like, yeah, let's go for it, sounds like a good idea. And then we've got the next 2 lined up after that, which again was just as natural, like sort of working it out.
So I don't think
amongst each other. So
I don't think anyone would be surprised to see that your next releases would come in on Steppers.
Yeah, man.
Is that then going to be where you're exclusively releasing music, or is it just if people want to send something to say Garage Shared, they can do, or is it just you've kind of got this deal that you're going to do everything through Steppers and help build this brand?
What, me specifically, or everybody involved with the label?
Let's say you, for argument's sake.
For me, like I still have stuff lined up with other labels. I mean, Steppers is a project that is the group of us that we're going to do as us, and we've got a specific sound that we want to put on that. And we've got I think for everybody, you'd obviously have to ask everybody individually, but my understanding is for everybody it is a priority. Like this is it's almost sort of our main little project that we want to work towards for sort of in the longer term. But yeah, man, like all of us are going to keep working with other labels. Like I've obviously got quite, as you obviously mentioned earlier in the call, like I've produced quite a few different sort of styles of garage and even further beyond garage into other genres. And there's going to be tunes that I make where I'm going to be happy with them, but I don't think they're sort of the right fit for that. So yeah, I've got stuff that's lined up with other labels at the moment. But with Steppers, like that's obviously the sort of thing that I want to grow long term. But there's no like exclusivity about what we're in sort of about people's involvement with it.
Sure.
Like people have got to do what they want to do. Like I can't try and start signing people to
of course,
exclusive contracts.
So let's talk about your EP then.
Yeah, man.
I don't know how much you want to give away. I've listened to the EP and I think it's banging.
Thank you,
I'm sure you and the other members of the club think it's banging as well. So you said you've had these tracks done for a while. How long has this process been for this EP specifically?
I started working on this so back in like July time. So I mean, quite a big thing for me, like artistically, with the direction that I want to go at the moment, is I generally want to work with vocalists more.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've sort of worked out that I want to make actual songs rather than sort of essentially beats. Like I'm always going to enjoy making sort of little garage edits and stuff like that, but I really want to be making like original music where I work with singers. and that obviously manifested with the track that I did on First Steps with Teo, and that was like a really easy process working with him. And then this girl Charlotte, she'd been on my radar for a little bit. I'd sort of noticed that she was starting to put videos up of her singing. She's quite in with like the B-Swang crew. So yeah, man, we had quite literally happened really naturally. Just had a conversation back around then, and started working on the track. We spent quite a while working on that one, and I was obviously really happy with the outcome of it. And then I actually had a different track that was potentially going to be the B-side, which was a collab with it was a collab with someone else, but I can't really really too much about it. And it didn't. It's that one's ended up getting a little bit delayed. So like, you know, that we'll end up doing something else with that. So yeah, I then ended up essentially wanting to, you know, make a track in the same sort of sound that sort of complemented it. And yeah, I think with Sugar and Spice, it's sort of fits quite well with Let Me Know, and that ended up making the EP. So
you said you started them in July. That's already quite a quick turnaround, though. Has sort of like the way things been this year sort of given you more time to focus on music, or is that just that you're quite an efficient worker?
I don't know, man. I think like I was definitely I think definitely from around June when I graduated, I at that point I didn't know that I was going to come back and do another year at uni, so I was like, right, okay, let's knuckle down with the music now. I don't know, I think I was putting a lot of time into it, and I think I'm a producer that works quite well in patches, so I'll have like 2 weeks where I'll get a load of ideas down, it's all happening really quickly, but then I'll have a couple of weeks where like I can't even look at a keyboard and I just can't think of anything. I think around that period, I basically my next like 6 months of releases were sort of all made in like July and August, where I was sort of just managing to get quite a lot of tracks down. I just basically, when I feel like I'm in a good period, then I try and get as much down as I can, and sort of, you know, try and make sure I'm in a position where I've got things lined up.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, man, it was pretty straightforward. But I guess I don't know. I guess that's like a normal amount of time, isn't it? For if it was back in July, because it's obviously only a 2-track project.
Yeah,
so
I suppose
it wasn't
so.
Too much,
yeah, and where's I going? You've made me lose my train of thought now.
sober.
What were we saying? So when you're producing, are you like a bedroom producer? Do you go to a studio? Like, obviously, I assume you're like in a uni house or flat or something like that. So
yeah.
I know from experience they're not the ideal place to be producing.
I don't know. I've got a good little setup here. But yeah, I'm very much a bedroom producer.
Okay.
Pretty much since I started messing about on a laptop and just making stuff when I was like 13, 14, and then basically from after like a year or two of messing about with it, I started essentially any bit of money that I got, I started sort of putting into trying to, you know, get equipment together, and so I've put together like quite a nice setup now where like I've got everything I need sort of in this place. So like aside from maybe mix downs where having access to a studio would be useful, like I'm pretty happy with the setup that I've got now.
I assume you're not still using the same cracked version of Fruity Loops you were.
I am, yeah.
You are?
I fully am, bro. Yeah.
Really?
But, mate, I get, honestly, like the amount of people that are like, you should switch to Ableton. I'm like, why? Like it works. Because thing is, I've been using that now for 8 years, and I feel like I know it inside out. And in terms of my workflow and just knowing how the program works, I haven't been given enough reason yet to move on to something else. So
that's going to be a controversial one. That one.
Nah, so mate, look, right, with DAWs, right, they all do the same thing. They just do it differently. So, you know, all you Ableton snobs out there, I'm not having that.
I am one of those snobs. So
are you one of them?
No.
how did I agree to this interview?
Oh no, I'm gonna reword the whole write up about this one. Just from that.
So fair, man. So fair.
Fair enough though. Like I've always been a bedroom producer as well. Through uni, I've been able to use proper studios and that. But I think there's something nice about knowing that you've got everything you need in one place and one workspace. So
yeah, man.
Yeah. Do you live with anyone else who's creative or anything? And sort of what's their reaction to you making things?
Yeah, man. And like, 100%. Yeah, like so I'm in a uni house at the moment, and like two of them are DJs. One of them also produces. Like one of the guys that I live with actually like was sort of the person that like introduced me to this sort of music when we were like back in first year. So like, you know, then when I started like DJing the music and stuff, it was, you know, quite, you know, it was a bit of fun, and we were all having like a good time doing it. And then when things sort of started, you know, taking off a little bit in the last year and stuff, it was it was like when I played that Beast One back in February, and like, you know, like Shy FX and Flavor D and all that were on the lineup, and they were just, yeah, my mates just thought it was mad that I was now playing with these people. Yeah. So yeah, no, like I'm like all my lot of uni, like I sort of met them through the very limited DJ scene that Durham has to offer.
I was gonna ask about that. That was something I was wondering about, because obviously down south I think we've got quite a good scene, but Durham scene doesn't sound like, well, I haven't heard anything about it being iconic or anything. So what's it like up there?
Yeah, man, it's what you make of it. I mean, I very nearly went to Bristol instead of Durham, and I think if I'd done that, like, you know, in terms of like going out and stuff, I probably would have had a better time. But that being said, I was kind of fortunate in coming here, in that, especially when I got here, there wasn't really a scene for bass music, and I ended up setting up like the sort of first bass music night that was in Durham. Wow. And it was kind of hard like selling it, because like there weren't that many people around here that were listening to it. But it was sick because like there weren't that many people mixing it, so whenever there was a night going on, you know, me and a few other people would end up playing it, which meant I got like a huge amount of experience of essentially being able to play in clubs and stuff. That if I'd gone somewhere like Bristol, like, I probably would have been getting like 1-2 sets a year or something. Sure. Because obviously there's a lot more people that want to do it there. So it was a bit of a blessing in disguise, really, that I got so much time where I could, you know, practice mixing and playing in club environments, which I think has sort of helped me. You know, at the point when I started actually getting into the scene and getting sets and stuff, I'd already had, you know, 3 years of like constantly playing in clubs behind me, which then meant it wasn't too sort of daunting when the bookings did start.
Do you remember your first DJ set?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah. Was
it any good? Was it a nightmare? What, did you unplug
I can
the
mix,
USB?
bro. I can mix. Yeah, mate. I did all sorts. It wasn't even on a CDJs, bro. It was on a controller. Okay. Yeah, man. Yeah. God, I hadn't even thought about that for a while. Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, man. Did all the standard mistakes, like, you know, paused the wrong deck. Redlined, audio cut out, but I couldn't hear because I still had my headphones on, so I didn't even notice, and I was like, thought I was mixing it. Oh mate, awful. Fair enough. I'd like to see it again though. I'd pay to go back and see it.
Be an experience. So since you've obviously had loads of experience DJing various events and things, have you got one that stands out as your best, your favourite?
Favourite event I've done, man. That's a good question. I think the best ones I've done are probably the house parties. I won't lie, because obviously when I've played on lineups and supported people and stuff, it's been really sick. But I honestly, man, when you're playing like a packed out house party and and the vibe is right and everyone's there for the right reason, it's sick. I think for the club one, maybe, to be fair, like, so Sammy Virgie came and played with me in Durham back in January, and he's like my biggest like musical inspiration by like such a long way. So yeah, like I played a set with him in Durham, and then we ended up going and playing an afters, which was just like such a surreal experience. So that was really sick for me on a personal level. So yeah, I'd probably say that one. Nice. That was quite a mad night for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you got any specific venues or festivals or anything in mind that would be like a dream place to play?
I really want to play Tank. I think that's a dream for a lot of people. I really want to play Beamtown as well. I mean, I think the way I'm thinking about a lot of bookings now is that I really want to get more steppers takeovers in the diary.
Nice, yeah.
Like I mean, because we had our first one in Sheffield a couple of nights ago. It was like so sick, just like all of us together being like, you know, we're now getting bookings, and it was just sort of us like messing about on Zoom half the time, not really getting anything done. And now we've actually got something, and you know, I was kind of surprised at that event how many people were actually like aware of what Steppers was, because we were going there as it was Burst's event, like New Bass Thorpe were playing, and we were obviously going there as support for them, and you know, those guys obviously like legends in Sheffield. And we sort of thought, you know, we're their part of the bill, like, you know, it'll be a good night, good experience for us. But it was like sick, the amount of people that were aware of what Steppers was, and you know, said that they loved what we were doing, and it was really encouraging, man. So yeah, we're essentially like, when any of us are getting promoters speaking to us now, we're generally kind of trying to encourage the idea that, you know, if you book the group of us, you know, it'll be a bit cheaper than booking all of us individually, and we'll obviously come and put on a show and, you know, get the brand behind it. So yeah, man, like if in terms of what we're hoping for in the future, yeah, I just want to keep pushing the brand and you know, getting the bookings in for that, really. So
sick. So I've got a couple like little questions that don't need to go into big detail about, but just be like interested to hear your answers. Have you got a dream collab, someone that you'd want to work with? Would it be Virgie, or is there someone else?
It would be Virgie, but yeah, there's one that is in the works at the moment who's like the other, like there's Virgie and there's one other person.
Okay.
And there I've got one with said other person at the moment, but I don't want to say who it is yet, because I want to make sure. I guess I'll tell you after the call.
Oh, cool.
But I want to make sure it gets finished before I say anything about it. But yeah, like that. Yeah, he's like, yeah, it's mad. But yeah, yeah, it'd be Virgie or this guy. So
you got into the scene through uni, like so many people did, and I guess going to events there, as you said. Is there anyone that you've got on your bucket list yet to see live?
Oof. That's a good question, to be fair. I was trying to think. That's a really hard question, you know. I've to be fair, like most of the really big people that I follow now I have seen. But yeah, if I had to give an answer, I don't know, man. That's really something, you know. Because every person I'm thinking of that's like a big inspiration, I've sort of managed to be able to get to one of their events over the last few years. Yeah, I don't know, man. I actually don't know.
Fair enough.
I'm just trying to think across like different genres of music that I'm into.
Yeah, it could be anything.
I think it'd be really cool. Maybe like, I don't know. Actually, well, to be fair, so I'd say Boo maybe, because like he played at that he played on the same event that I was playing on in Leicester. But I didn't catch his set because I think I was playing at the same time, or I don't know. I don't know what we were doing, but yeah, no, I'd love to like properly see him live, man. Because in terms of like drum and bass, like I think he's elite, man. He's such a good producer.
Sure. So next one then, which I'll be interested to hear, because I know you've mentioned and you've got so many different musical influences. What are the last 3 songs on your phone?
The last 3 songs on my phone. Where it's in like the most recent 3 that I've saved.
Yeah, that you've listened to.
That I've listened to. Right, let's go on my listening. They're probably going to be my own tunes, which will be a bit embarrassing. Let's go. Wait, where is it? Listening history. So I've got Ghost, the Club, which is like quite an old school garage tune, very sick tune. Restless, the Higo remix, unbelievable tune in that as well. And then Dista by Prozac, that one that he just put out on Garage Shed, really really hard tune as well. Love that. Yeah, that's my most recent.
Is there anything aside from sort of like garage and electronic music you listen to a lot, or are you all about that?
Yeah, well, I kind of what I started producing was all hip hop beats and stuff. So like Faces by Mac Miller, that mixtape that he put out like a few years back. I mean that was basically the first thing where I heard, and I was like, I just wanted to know how to like recreate that sort of sound.
Sure.
how to make music like that. So that was quite like an entry sort of point to me getting into production, and it was all the sort of rap music around that generation that I was like massively into. So.
Sick. Yeah, well, I've pretty much used up all my questions now, all the ones on my notes and things. I think we've got good going there, but obviously reiterate your EP comes out Zefer's Club October 23rd.
Yeah, man. October 23rd, man.
First in potentially a series, potentially from other people on the label.
So season 1 is gonna have a project from everyone on the label, and then there's also a couple of surprises.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna be saying what they are just yet.
That's fine. But, the last 2 things I've got written down then. Who would be your dream sign-in to Zefer's Club?
Oof, that's a good question. What, just like realistic or any?
I'd say realistic.
Realistic. There is a lad called The Illustration that I really like, and we've had a couple conversations about sort of potentials in the future. But yeah, he's for me and a couple of other people in the group. He's certainly up there on the list of people, definitely. So. And
then I've asked pretty much everyone I've interviewed this question. Where would you like to be in 5 years' time?
Alive.
Well, there you go. Short and sweet.
No, yeah. But I want to be in 5 years. I think like my ambition with all of this is to simply see people enjoy my music on a bigger and bigger scale. So like right now, the amount of people that enjoy my music is more than it was yesterday, and it's more than it was the day before, etc. So like, I just want to see, I just want to be doing this on a bigger scale, and ideally making enough money off it so that I can do it full time. Because I mean, this is my passion. It's it's my life, man. I love it. So yeah, man. Hopefully, running more projects. Hopefully, seeing Garage in a really healthy place, and seeing new waves of producers coming through and.
Sure.
Yeah, man.
Sick.
Yeah, man.
Well,
sick.
We're going to be pushing your release. I'm sure everyone's. You're going to get lots of support on it. I've heard it. It's a banging 2-track EP. It'll be out on Zefer's Club, as I said, 23rd of October. Put it in your diaries. And thank you for coming and talking to us as well. It's been great to actually speak face to face.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, thank you for having me.
No worries. Anytime.